All right, we want to welcome y'all, and what a night this is going to be. I got one of my classmates in 1978 here with me, David Fake. And growing up, I can't tell you how much we idolized y'all. And I know, Terry, we joked around over the years, 71, 72, 73, 78, which class was better. But let me tell you something. No, wait. I'm going to answer that tonight. Y'all won a state championship, and we did not. So, all right? You thought I was setting you up, right, Terry? Sometimes you just got to go with the flow. And where's Barry Knocking? I can't see with all these lights. Barry, you remember you hit the old folks' home across from Tunnel Boulevard? They dropped the suit last week. I think you hit the old lady in the window. So that's a long shot, believe it or not. But anyway, I was sitting at Joe's coffee shop. I don't know, Coach Gaynor, this was a few weeks ago, and I heard everyone talking about the 1971 team. And I knew about the 71 team. We'd go watch y'all play when I was 11 years old. And what a great team y'all had. But I was shocked that it was the last team to ever win a state championship in this parish. 51 years. And I'm sitting there going, that's all the athletes that have come through Terrebonne Parish. Y'all were the last team to win a state championship.
Let's keep it going.
There you go. So I looked at Coach Gaynor, I think, before I left, I said, we got to do something. I said, because that's incredible. And so tonight, we're going to do something. And while y'all eating, I'm going to show you an interview I had with Coach Gaynor, and he talked about that team. And let me just show you how important y'all were. Y'all didn't know y'all were making an impression on us, but growing up and spending a lot of time in Annie Manny and Mr. Ed's house, we'd see Eddie walk in uniform, and y'all had a little air about y'all, I got to tell you. I wouldn't say y'all were cocky, but y'all were definitely confident. Then we'd make our way later to the Molizon house and David's house. And y'all had that moxie about y'all. There's no doubt about it. So y'all deserve this night. And y'all deserve to be on these cameras and being recognized tonight. Y'all deserve a night. Y'all deserve recognition. And I pray to God that we have a team coming up soon that could win a state championship. 'Cause that's a long time to go at a school. Y'all like the Miami Dolphins. There's no doubt about it. And Don Shula looked a little bit better than Brian Gaynor, but that's okay. And I figured out, look, when I was interviewing Coach Gaynor, I didn't realize that when he first got on before the spring where y'all started, he was 22 years old. And I know all these years he's sold y'all on the fact that he came to coach you guys. But I'm going to tell you, that's not truthful. He came because of Heidi Haydell, Mindy McCullough, Sedbro, Laney Barlow. He wasn't much older than them. Who did I miss? Who was the cheerleaders back then? I just wanted, look, I wanted, in all transparency, I wanted to set the record straight. But look, before we get going, I think we ought to start with an invocation and the pledge. And I thought we'd mix it up a little bit. I want to bring up Mike Fake, who's in that class of 71, and he's going to lead us in a baseball prayer. Mike?
All right, name Father, Son, Holy Spirit. God grant me wisdom to tell a strike from a ball, to know where to throw and never to fall. Keep me always in the baseline, running straight and true, and I will look for your sign to stretch one into two. God gave me vision to see every pitch, so if a player needs help, then I will see which. Let me always hustle, so I'll be at my best, and take pride in myself, in sports and the rest. God be my strength when I throw the ball, when I'm far from home plate or against a wall. So I never miss a base. Please guide my feet. Bring me home safely so my job is complete. When I help young players, let me always give praise, so they'll see you in me in all of my ways. God, please guide our coach to be fair and smart, to teach us to be good. Let it come from the heart. Let me take a loss just as well as a win. To do any less is surely a sin. As long as I can play, let me make my parents proud as I am when they yell my name out loud. However my games end, let me always have fun, and if heaven has all-stars, I want to be one. When my games are over and my season is done, let me play on your team just like your son. Amen. Father, Son. Thank you, Lord.
All right, we got to call up a class member of the 1973 who's going to lead us in the pledge, and that's Terry Bro.
There you go, T.
I pledge allegiance to the flag, United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, sir.
Hey, I want to acknowledge somebody before I get to the class of 71. I was talking to David today, and I said, make sure you go by and pick up your dad. And Mr. Dickey was a state champion, I think 53, 54, and 55. Did I get that right? Close enough? 50, yeah. That's incredible. I just got to tell you how much a privilege it was for our class to have Coach Brian Gano for quite a long time at Vandebilt, and I know y'all feel the same. What a tremendous coach he was. You're going to see in the interview I did with him, we've all heard the word situation with Coach Gano about 8,000 times, and I think he was very prepared. You've heard the word meticulous to describe him. He was a numbers guy. So we're going to show you a little film tonight, and I want to thank Danny Caballero. Where's Danny? Danny brought me a scrapbook, and I got to tell you, I'm hoping he'll leave it with me for a few days so I can laminate the pages because they were disintegrating. They're that old. So we're going to try to get that laminated. And I saw there were a couple other scrapbooks floating around that probably ought to consider getting it laminated. That's a long time ago. I want to thank Dr. Fritz Rao because when we were talking with Coach Gano and Danny, he said, well, you know, Fritz's daddy took some film of the game. Now look, I bought my first movie camera in 1971 and it was Super 8. But I know that Mr. Rao had that camera before I did and it was always 8mm. And you always had those 3-minute cartridges that cost a lot of money. You'd film them, bring them to the drugstore. Mr. Ronnie Haydell would ship them off to Kodak. You'd get them back in 2 or 3 days and you'd play them. But you only had 3 minutes of cartridge. So I don't know how many Mr. Rao brought to the game with him. Obviously, it wasn't a lot because he'd film for about 3 or 4 seconds when Fritz was batting. Boom. There's Fritz again. Boom. There's Fritz again. But he did capture the moments y'all won and y'all piled up on the field and the team photos after. So that's great stuff to have because that's very, very nostalgic. So let's do this. We're going to break. We're going to let you serve yourself and have a good time. And once y'all get situated back here, we're going to play you a little film that me and Coach did last week. All right, I got David Fauke with me, class of 1978. You all remember David, great athlete. And, you know, we've been arguing with this team for a long time, but we're going to serve them tonight. And David's fixing a plate. Mike Fauke.
Mike, come on in.
Come on in.
Cousin, you get the first plate. I'm serving. In honor of the state championship, brother.
Yeah, look, and I'll
Yeah,
serve
get
you
your little
some veggies.
Yeah.
We just do
take care of it. Take care of it.
Here, you want
Let me get some.
Here you go. I got you one.
What about some bread?
Got you. Come on, Coach, grab you some stuff.
All right, sir.
You got it. I'm glad Martin said something about situation and stuff. That was like, if anybody played for you and they didn't think they were prepared, they weren't paying attention.
Here's Coach Gano right here. Coach, would you like some vegetables?
Yes, sir.
Look,
Just to make it look good.
one of the first
Yes, sir.
you want some,
So there you have it. The class of 71 is the graduating class of 71. That included 72, 73. See, like Terry Rose fixing his salad and putting his dressing on there right now. He was class of 73. So he was a great athlete too, multiple sports. So anyway, that's why we wanted to honor him tonight. They're well deserved. All right, T.
Thanks, man. Thank y'all.
While y'all are enjoying your well-deserved dinner, I want to roll in a video. I sat down with Coach Gano last week. We talked for about 30 minutes, and once again, we used a lot of footage from Danny Caballero and Dr. Fritz Rao. And I saw Danny Caballero about 2 months ago at the subway, and he was ahead of me. And I signaled to the lady behind. Danny didn't know, but I said, I got his sandwich. So Danny gets up there to pay, and the lady goes, no, he got your sandwich. So Danny turned and said, Martin, why did you do that? I said, because y'all don't know what y'all meant to our group growing up. And I'm telling you, it's very impressionable. We were 11 years old when y'all were making that run for a state championship. And it was incredible going to the games and seeing the games, and it instilled something in us. And then hanging around Eddie, at Andy Manny's and Mr. Ed's house, and just seeing the way y'all stuck together was pretty doggone good. So before we start the film, I'm going to call up Dr. David Fake, who is one of our leaders in the class of 78, and I know he wants to talk about y'all a little bit. But I want y'all to understand before y'all leave tonight how impressionable y'all were on a bunch of young guys. And just like y'all, we were pretty confident too. But I think we learned from y'all, we watched. Then we had Coach Gaynor, who sort of brought that winning tradition and that spirit with us. So David, come on up and say a few words if you don't mind.
Martin's already said most of what I was going to say. He asked me to say something tonight a few minutes ago, and I said, well, now you said everything I was going to say, man.
My bad.
But anyway, I did wear that jersey in the night for you guys. I tell you, I kept it for a reason. And I thought to myself, you know what? That's their jerseys. That's their state championship jerseys. And anyway, that means more to your team than anything. But like Martin says, just to reiterate what Martin's been talking about, Harry McCullough couldn't make it tonight. He was supposed to be here. Brian Molizon, I can't tell you how many times I was in that brown Toyota Miss Molizon drove us to y'all game. And we weren't praying, and we were 11 too much, but we were trying to keep her eyes on the road. That's all. If you ever rode with Miss Molizon, it was like Shady Grove was an interesting trip we made to watch y'all play. That's all I got to say. But really, what Martin says is absolutely the truth. Y'all, I think y'all team was not about great players. I think y'all probably all agree. But y'all team was made up of a bunch of hard-working, good guys, worked their tails off, and you deserve the championship. We're thrilled to be able to watch y'all, and we took that to heart. 7 years later, we graduated. We probably were more disappointed we couldn't win a state championship, to do what y'all did. But I tell you, we worked hard at it too. We didn't have a bunch of great players, but we worked hard as a team. And it means a lot to have players ahead of you that you can watch as a kid, just to take it to that level and know that with hard work, you can get somewhere. And Coach, that what he said about, preparing us, we all had that. We all had that from you. You prepared us for every game. So thank you guys for everything y'all did. We appreciate it.
Yeah, David was a great leader in our class of 78 also. All right, without further ado, we got two big screens. So, Craig, you don't have to really move your head too much. You can just pick one you like. And we're going to roll in a little show that Coach Gano and I did last week. Hello again, everyone. I'm Martin Falls. Very proud to have with me Coach Brian Gano. And I call him Coach. A lot of you who probably have just met Brian over the years don't realize that he was a coach for many years, and he had a state championship in baseball, 1971. And what a team that was. And we're honoring that team this week at HTV. But Coach Brian Gano joins me now. Coach, very good to have you. How are you?
Thank you, Martin. Doing great. It's great to see that you're doing something and have initiated this aspect of honoring that 71 team. That was a special group.
Well, and y'all deserved it. We joke a lot. And you know, you've been involved in all the jokes between my class 78 and the class of 71 and 72. But it's like we said, y'all won a state championship. We did not. So it's time for us in our latter years to honor y'all and to bring y'all together and have a little fun. And that was a special team, wasn't it?
Yes, it really was. A very special group. That was my third year of coaching at Vandebilt. And a lot of these guys started played quite a bit as sophomores and juniors, because we actually had a depleted roster when I took over. Right. They had a great senior group before. So, but these guys stuck with it. They were willing to really develop. And the great thing about baseball, not just develop the individual skills, but also team concept skills too. So it's a great group to work with.
And you had a great group of seniors.
Rich Rao, Eddie McCulley said, Mike Fake, Craig Molizon, Danny Caballero.
I always thought that Don Same and Philip Lottinger were seniors, but you had to be just chomping at the bit knowing those juniors were coming back.
Oh, yes. In fact, Philip and Don were our top pitchers. Philip was always state a junior and his senior year, and we ended up losing out in the finals in 72.
What was the key to that team? Because we see them all now, and of course, I always talk about us growing up, but I grew up a lot of time in Annie Manny and Mr. Ed McCullough's house. So we saw Eddie a lot. So we were tuned in to that group. They were confident. They were a confident group.
Yes.
They could hit the ball well. They had just a very good season. Were they coachable?
Highly coachable. And I think that truly makes a difference. Those 5 starters basically played a position that they hadn't played, they were not either starters at or had played the previous year. And these guys were very receptive to it. In fact, to begin the year, Mike Fake was a starting second baseman the year before, moved him to short. Fritz Rao was in left field, moved him to second base. And as you know in baseball, you've got to be strong up the middle. And both of those guys just had great handwork. Eddie McCullough started off as our catcher, but once our center fielder had flunked out, I moved Eddie to first base, because our first baseman, Craig Molizon, was just an outstanding all-around athlete. Moved him to center field. And he cover some ground. And then our next best person up next was Terry Farrell. He was our next catcher. So I felt very comfortable in making those moves and have Terry come in catching. I would have sacrificed average for Terry's ability to be a good defensive catcher, but he ended up hitting in the 320s anyway. So that was an added plus.
One of the players on that team, and I know him well, he grew up in Barrios, was Danny Caballero. Most players, if the coach says was the most improved, would probably say, mustn't mean I was that good last year. Okay, but you really put some accolades on him. He really worked hard, didn't he?
He did work hard, Martin. Most of our baseball players played another sport. Most of them had played football, some basketball. But Danny didn't. Baseball was his only sport. And we talked about what he needed to do during the summer and what he did during the fall to get himself ready. You're familiar with the old overhang next to the cafeteria. And of course, I'm on the practice field in football and I'm watching him underneath. He's throwing tennis balls up against that wall, fielding them, doing different things to develop his hand-eye coordination and throwing also. So he developed into a heck of a third baseman. I think one of the things Mike Fockey and I were talking a while back about it is that Caballero at third base, if that ball took a bad hop, it was going to hit him in the chest. He never let anything go under his glove, on his legs. But he would knock that ball down. It was like a brick wall there. He was just an outstanding athlete.
And I think this is worth talking about because with all the teams that have won state in different sports over the years, your baseball team was the last one in the parish to win a state baseball championship. That's over 50 years.
Yes, it's difficult to believe. I've been away for a while, so I found that difficult to believe. With all
the talent we've had come through here, but it goes back. I say it, not that everybody had bad coaches, but every team you coached, situation.
Yes.
Where did you get that from?
Playing ball for Coach Buddy Marcella at South Terrebonne, we worked in that. And then when I was at Nichols, Coach Ray Didier was athletic director and baseball coach, wanted me to walk on. And I decided after a while, no, that was going to be the end of my career. Let me work on the books because I was majoring in mathematics. But I had some lecture classes with him and discussed it so much. And he was a great mentor, too, for baseball and football. But that's the thing that we often talked about, is that so many games are lost, not just on errors, but mental mistakes that never show up in the scoreboard.
You know, and a lot of times players, they get into the psyche of their coach. And I don't know if I've ever asked you this, but did you enjoy winning more than you hated to lose?
Well, I hated to lose. Now, I liked the heck out of winning.
Right.
But I didn't like to lose, Martin. I felt like if we lost and I know we wasn't going to win them all, we played a tough schedule. Played a lot. All of our non-district games were against higher competition. So I knew we wasn't going to win them all, but I felt like it's my job as a coach to put my players in position where they have an opportunity to win. So I didn't like losing.
No, and sometimes that drives people as much as the luxury of winning.
Right.
Sometimes. Y'all had a lot of aces y'all faced in non-district games.
Yes.
That it baffles me because they had a key district game maybe the next couple of days, but they threw their ace against you because they didn't want to lose to Vandebilt.
They didn't want to lose to Vandebilt, and many of them were local schools, so I think they felt like the up-and-coming athletes may choose to come to Vandebilt rather than go to their school.
Was that always a concern of coaches back then? You know, we talk about recruiting. I don't want to use the word recruitment, but influence. Kids want to go to a winning program, don't they?
Yes, I think most do. Yes,
Yeah.
I would agree.
So, you know, if you're winning, you know it's going to sort of self-serve itself. People are going to want to come and play.
So we're saying success breeds success.
Right. You also started something that was very special where you would bring a couple of eighth graders up on your program, or freshmen, and you would move them up the ranks. Where did you get that idea from?
I felt, Martin, that if, and looking at the talent, and I think I did a good job of analyzing the talent we have, and if I could not project a person as a starter by their junior or at least by their senior year, then there was no sense in keeping them. I'd rather spend that time on the younger talent coming up. Now, back then we were limited to, because you still had a good Babe Ruth program in place. But I wanted them to get acclimated to what we do, how we do it, and learn the skill sets that we were utilizing with our older players.
But how did you mesh that? Because I know that Brian Molazon, Harry McCullough were brought up early on, but of course, they're mingling with juniors and seniors as a young Vanderbilt player, so the age difference is unbelievable.
Yes.
I can imagine sometimes, and I say this in all lightheartedness, there's a little torment that goes with that sometimes too.
I'm sure there was. At the same time, even at 71 team, we had great leadership as a group. And I really think we had that every year that I was there. So I think the younger student athletes looked up to the old ones for that leadership. And I don't think any of them to the standpoint that, oh no, I'm better than who's playing out there. They were willing to learn not only from me, but from their older players too.
You know, we joked the other day, I said in the class of 78, of all our starters, all of them were alpha males.
Right.
So you had a ton of alpha males on that team, but they managed to get it done. How do you manage a bunch of alpha males?
Well, the interesting thing, Martin, is that none of them were looking for all the glory and all the attention. They were willing to do whatever it took. We believed in advancing runners. So that meant 1 through 9, you may be called on to bunt. You may be called on to hit and run. Dependent, again, you said it before, we play situational baseball.
Right.
And they were willing to do it. And I think they demonstrate, and each year they demonstrated to the younger guys, this is how we're going to play baseball at Vandebilt Catholic.
And there's a set way that you taught. And I don't know how baseball's changed over the years, but it seems to have changed. And
Yes.
we all joke about it, where people position themselves when a ball's hit in the outfield. Or some people bunt and they start to the ground and they go up. You stressed it so many times, you start high and come down.
Come down. If you start at the shoulders and the pitch is above your bat, then you know it's going to be a ball.
Right.
Because the worst thing you can do, and you know this from a bunting situation, unless no one's on and you're bunting for a base hit, but most of the time you advance at a runner. Last thing you want to do is pop the ball up. So if you start bringing that bat up to bunt, more than likely you're going to pop it up. So it's just, I think it's small things like that, Martin, that makes a ton of difference as to what these athletes can do, how they can adjust to it. And I think the key is once they see this really works, then it's easy to get them to buy into it.
Let's talk about that team, because I told you before, we were young. I want to say we were about 11 when y'all were playing these games,
okay.
and we were going to the games, me and Harry McCullough, and we'd go home and we'd play like we Phil Lottinger or Don Same or whoever the hero was at the time, because it changed every game. Everybody had their shot at it, like
They
you
did.
said.
They did.
Or Barry Nake hitting one over Tunnel Boulevard into the old folks' home.
Yes.
So when you talk about those athletes, let's just talk in general. Who was your best all-around player on that team? And I know it's hard to pick.
Oh, that'd be hard to pick because we had so many good ones. I'd say in that 71 team, Craig Molazone was probably the best all around. He could hit for average, he could hit for distance, he could play first base or he could play the outfield, and he was a left-hander.
And he could pop one up right over the first baseman.
Oh, yes.
Which he did
so
quite a
he
bit.
was, yes, and he was quick.
Mm-hmm.
He had good speed. So he just a great all-around athlete.
So he was your utility guy. You could put him anywhere.
I could have put him anywhere.
Okay. Pitching, you had two pretty good aces that you could call on. It dropped off after those two, but you still had good athletes on the mound. But when you call on a Philip Lottinger and Don Same, it's really hard to go wrong.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. And the thing with Philip that I loved about it is that he was willing to develop some other pitches. He had a tremendous fastball. Mm-hmm. And what he had to do is learn how to do is to paint the corners, hit the black of the plate, and also develop a good off-speed pitch. I still remember the state championship game over in Opelousas. We ended up beating them 8-3, but I think in the fourth inning possibly, they ended up loading the bases with no one out. We had to settle him down a little bit. He came back and struck out the next three.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think if that wasn't more motivation for our team to get behind him.
Didn't he also hit a deep shot off the fence in one of the games?
He hit a ground rule double to center field.
Was that in the state championship
State
game?
championship game.
So he had a pretty good stick to go with it.
Yes, he did.
Okay.
Now, back then, you didn't have a designated hitter for the pitcher or anyone else.
And you didn't have aluminum bats.
That's correct.
And wooden bats.
That's
Wow.
exactly right.
So how much, you talked about the fact they were coachable, but you didn't have soccer. You didn't
Right.
have a lot of these programs now where you didn't have travel ball.
Right.
So,
Thank goodness.
yeah, what was it like? Because now we've all heard the coaching stories that I not only have to deal with the players, I got to deal with the parents. You never had much of that.
Unless I was oblivious to it, I had no trouble with the parents.
Yeah.
None whatsoever. And the thing we did at Vandebilt, too, was encourage these guys to play as many sports as they could. Because I think your muscle tone, you work it out as you're working this, your muscles, you're going to use different muscles for different sports. So I think the worst thing we can do is just concentrate on one sport all year round. To me, you don't develop the body as much as you should.
And you had just great athletes on this team, and I know I'm going to forget some, and you watched the ones that did play other sports. Terry Bro is an example.
Good all-round
Ronnie
athlete.
SJ playing basketball
Right.
too. And so they were good, but looking at those guys too, they hated to lose. So I know when they were going out there, they all wanted to win. And sometimes you can't teach that. Either somebody got that killer instinct in them, and when they go out, they want to leave no prisoners. And the drive is unbelievable in that team.
That's a good comment, and I really think I was never one of those to be all rah-rah and no substance to it. But I think these guys really bought into it, and they could see it, that if you developed the mental aspect, if you knew how to react in every situation, especially defensively, that ball was put into play, all 9 people are moving somewhere. Do you know where you're going? I see games today, and I see several people just standing around, waiting for somebody else to make a play. But you guys knew everybody had an assignment. And I think because of that, Martin, we worked so hard on all of that, is that they had great confidence going into a game.
Plus, you also drilled into all of us, no matter what year it was, talk to your teammate.
Communicate.
They within shouting distance. Just turn around and go, be ready,
Communicate.
And you see some teams not talking at all.
Martin, my consulting work, I tell people the biggest problem in the business world for many years has been lack of communications. And the biggest problem in most people's home life is a lack of communications. So I was going to make sure we communicated well.
One thing you were big on, and I don't mind using Roger Mullis as an example because I loved his mom and dad.
He's going to love being an example.
Yeah. Good point, especially that home run on Independence.
Right.
But I think he got called out on a third strike. I'll let you take it from there. That's a great story.
Yeah, I think it was a called third strike. It was a bad call. But one of the things I always did, Martin, is I never allowed, whether it's football or baseball, an athlete to argue with the umpire. If I think something's wrong, I'll go out there and have a chat with the umpire or the referee. Well, Roger got a little upset. He said something, and as he's walking, first of all, he's walking back to the dugout, and I never allowed that. You sprint back to the dugout. You jog back to the dugout. We don't walk when we're on the field.
Right.
And through his bat, through his helmet, he was aggravated. So I just motioned to him. I said, have a seat. And I put somebody else in at third base. I said, I'm not going to tolerate that. This is the way we're going to operate. And the great thing about it, Martin, his mom and dad, wonderful people, they came up to me after the game, after most people had cleared, and thanked me for pulling him out of the game. I don't think that would happen much today.
No, but they knew you were trying to teach him the right way.
Yeah. Right.
And so they backed you.
Well, and the thing is, athletics is a lot more than just winning or losing. You got to learn lessons for life. So you got to learn how to approach it correctly, how to keep your emotions in check.
When the spring came around, your first season as coach, you were 23, correct?
Yes, right,
You were 25 when you won a state championship.
right.
You weren't much older than the players.
They still kid me about that, Mark. They thought I was old.
But I mean, most people don't get a state championship their entire career. And here comes Brian Gano
Right.
and gets one at 25 years old. And you were in my office the other day when we called Fritz around. He said, yeah, my dad filmed some of that on 8mm. What was that like when y'all won that state championship? Bring me back. What was that like?
Oh, it was euphoric. I mean, it was so great. I think too, Martin, I was very fortunate to be able to take over the baseball program my first year at Vandebilt. Prior coach had decided to leave at midterm, who I was going to assist him, but he decided to get out of teaching. So I was fortunate enough to be able to take over the baseball program, and I was fortunate enough to have many good athletes. So I was excited about that. I never once felt like my age would be a hindrance from doing a good job. I know what I wanted to do, whether I was an assistant or a head coach.
Yeah, but
Just
you
the
were
idea of
always
doing it.
confident as a coach.
Yes.
That trickles down to the players.
Well, I hope so.
They look at that. The fact that you played for legends, did that put any added pressure on you that now, okay, I'm coaching, I got to get me a state championship because Buddy Marcello and all these other guys got one. I got to put one on my mantle.
I never felt that.
Okay.
But I tell you what I did feel. I felt like I'm prepared to do this, and now let's go do it. One of the things I was always a big believer in, too, you've got to get the mental aspect of the game. You've got to work on your individual skills, team skills, but also you got to have fun. You got to have fun. And I think teams that are more relaxed, again, considering talent being equal, I think the team that's more relaxed is going to do a better job of it. Because if you don't play within your emotions, you're going to make a lot of physical errors and a lot of mental mistakes.
But one thing about your teams, it was drilled so much. I'm sure it was no different in my class than it was for the class of 71. You're so prepared when you get to the game. In the 7th inning, you got to run on first and third, and they got one out. Everybody's head's going, okay, we've been over this in practice about 8,000 times, and it's a no-brainer. So you chit-chatting with the guys in the outfield, the infielders are chit-chatting.
You're reminding each other.
Routine.
And that's the key. Is it's one thing to know what you have to do at your position, but do you understand what to do if the ball was hit anywhere else? And that's why I still see people get a little flat-footed out there. They're just kind of standing around, becoming a spectator rather than a participant.
Who were some of the best teams on that championship year? I think what y'all went 14-4, something like that.
Yeah, because we had several games rained out. Back then, you really didn't play tournaments, and you could schedule but 20 games, and if they got rained out, especially a non-district game, it was tough to try to reschedule at times.
Was Terrebonne one of those teams where it became a big rivalry?
Yes, I think with all of them. And then HL had put a program in, South Terrebonne, HL. We also played South Lafourche and then Central Lafourche. So Thibodeau High, I enjoyed playing these bigger schools. In fact, you talked about the pitching that some of them would save. We played these bigger schools so we would get good competition and good experience. So they threw the ace against us. Hey, that's an added plus.
This area has always been a great area for great talent. That's why I'm shocked that 51 years later I'm sitting on a desk with you and no one has won a state championship since that team of 71, because we've had some unbelievable talent.
Yes, we have. And I think what happens when you get into playoffs, sometimes you've got to have lady luck on your side, too. Sometimes just one or two things may go wrong. Now, I'm not sure how long ago, Martin, but the state championship game now, from what I understand, for a few years in a row, it's the best 2 out of 3. It's not just one game.
Right. Yeah, so you could take luck won't follow you normally for 3 games.
That's exactly right.
You can get it for 1.
Right.
Tell me if I'm right or wrong. When your teams would take the field and you're hitting infield and you're getting a pretty good feel how the team is, are they loose? Are they tight? Are they on their A game? How are you feeling back? You could actually win that game during infield and outfield because that other team's looking, and you could put a psych job on them pretty good, couldn't you?
Yes, you could. we worked on those things. We wanted to really look good. You want to look smooth to where that other team is thinking, man, this is going to be tough getting something through these guys. And I think that's all part of the psychology aspect of it too. I think it improves the mental attitude of our players, and it makes the other team look like, man, who are we playing today? It's going to be tough.
And I know you so well now, and you're quite a funny guy. You really are. You're quick-witted, and your one-liners come out pretty loose. But I'm thinking back to the years where you were coaching, and I'm not sure if you were different when you were 25 coaching the class of 71. You always had that A-game coaching mentality on there. But I'm sure there were some light moments that took place during the game where you probably wanted to really laugh, but you said, well, I can't let myself go too much because then I'm going to lose the team. So did you have to keep it in check?
Yes. But probably if you ask the guys who were not starters when they were on the bench, they'd probably tell you some funny stories of things that took place in the dugout.
Yeah, I mean, in baseball, you got to keep it loose, too.
Yes, exactly.
Because if they get too tight, then errors start and everything.
You know, Martin, I go back to what you see nowadays where everybody wants to do all these chants before a game, whether it's football or whatever. To me, all that does, it gets people emotionally high. They're going to make mistakes.
Right.
Now, I want to be even keeled. I want guys to be out there smiling, having fun, knowing that I got this.
Yeah, but you had a different coach, and I remember interviewing Boyd Hebert, who had the Edie White championships.
Yes.
And he was telling me, Martin, I let the kids took their shirts off. They put suntan lotion on, and they were getting good tans, and we were playing baseball and having fun. There wasn't nobody getting a tan when Brian Gano was the coach.
No, I didn't quite get to that standpoint with it. No.
What do you miss about it? I mean, like I said, you have a state championship. No one can ever take that away. I'm surprised it took so long to get this team together. They can't take it away from the team.
Right.
It sort of lives on in infamy.
Yes, it does. And this team deserves that. I was astounded when I heard no one else had won one, not just at Vandebilt, but the entire parish. As you said earlier, there's been a lot of great baseball talent to come through here.
Yeah.
But I think, Martin, what I love so much about it, you don't have to be the quickest, the strongest, and the fastest in baseball. It's more of a mental aspect in looking at each athlete individually and saying, how can I help this guy reach his potential? I hear nowadays from people that coaches want to show hitting film of a major leaguer. You can name different ones that they use. And people ask me, what did you do? I said, I'd watch each guy in the batting cage, not in the cage, but in batting practice, and work with them from there, because no two people are going to have the exact same stance. They're not going to have the same swing.
You were a math teacher, and a very good one. I didn't have you. You had my older sister and my older brother.
Right.
And I think meticulous would describe you. Tell me if I'm wrong. You're very
absolutely right.
You're very meticulous. You're a numbers guy. The numbers don't lie. And baseball's a numbers thing. Everybody has a batting average. Everybody has a fielding average. Everybody has this and everybody has that. I would imagine in your mindset, you were playing the numbers all the way through the game. All right,
yes.
We're down by one.
Well,
I got somebody up there who can bunt his way on. I got somebody. You were always thinking.
What's the percentages? What gives us our best shot at being in a position to be able to win this ball game? And I appreciate the fact about the math teacher, but my degree is in mathematics.
It is.
So
right.
But I tell you, I enjoy teaching the classroom as much as I enjoy the coaching.
You
and
did.
you know how much I enjoy coaching.
You did.
But to me, everything's it comes down to the mathematics of it. What, or you as an individual, what are you best at doing when I have you at the plate? What is this situation involved? So how am I best to utilize your skills with you at the plate? Maybe a guy on first, or maybe somebody on first and third, and we need just one run. So it's to me, it all comes down to the statistics.
Well, Coach, I want to.
And that was the analytics before they had analytics.
Yeah, you're right. I want to congratulate you because what a heck of a team you had. What a heck of a job you did coaching. And just to see all those guys are still close.
Yes.
They still get along, and they're going to love this because they earned it.
Yes, and it was an honor for me to be able to coach those guys. And probably every group I had at Vanderbilt, I was very fortunate.
Yeah. Well, congratulations. You were one heck of a coach, and it's great to see you and your team. And I'll tell you what, 51 years later, we're still waiting for someone and anxious for someone to win another state championship.
Thank you, Martin.
All right, good to see you, Coach. Let me just tell you how important y'all are. Brian Molazone just walked in. I talked to him about 3 hours ago. He said, Martin, I'm not going to make it. I have electricians in the house. I'm not sure if he didn't trust Kathleen with the electricians or the electricians with Kathleen. But his wife looked at him and said, you really need to be there. And he walked through the door with raindrops all over him. So, and, of course, he had Craig and Roger on that team. So we knew you were coming, Brian. We felt you coming down the highway. All right, I want to call, because we got a few things we're going to do here, but I want to call Doug Hamilton up, who's the alumni director at Vandebilt Catholic, and we'll let Doug say a few words.
Thank you, Martin, and thanks to HTV for hosting this Vandebilt State Championship team. My name's Doug Hamilton, and yes, I was alive in 1971, but just barely. I've been a lifelong Vandebilt student, teacher, coach, and I just wanted to spend a little time saying thank you for representing Vandebilt so well. Became the alumni director this past year, was an athletic director and a coach, so it was great to hear the coaching philosophy of Coach Gano. Remind me a little bit of my philosophy, and we've talked a little bit about that communication, so I really appreciated that. I appreciate having just a minute or two to say thank you on behalf of Vandebilt for representing your sport and our school for a very long time. One little note I would say, after watching that video, I'm kind of glad it was in black and white, because if you came to school, the color of the school on some of those areas is the exact same as when you guys were there in 1971. I had the privilege of going to your class reunion and seeing a bunch of people who, you know, from 1971, and I said the same thing. I wanted, when I became the alumni director, I wanted to honor the past. And so when I heard about this, I was very appreciative to be able to come and join you today. So with that said, we have a little memento that we're going to give to Mr. Mike Fake. I want to thank him for kind of being the liaison to help us get this done. I have a little program that says thank you, but more than anything, there are 2 red tickets in here, and I was tempted to say, hey, come to the doubleheader tomorrow to watch the current Vandebilt team play. But really, these are 2 tickets to come watch Coach Gano see if he can get that first pitch over the plate. So it'll be around 1:30. No pressure, Coach. If you stay up a little late tonight, you know, practicing, we'll be you guys will be very welcome at Vandebilt Catholic tomorrow. We hope to see all of you there. Thank Martin and HTV, and I most especially want to thank the state championship baseball team from 1971.
I want to bring up Judge Jason DeGate and also Jacob. I want to bring Jacob up with him. And we have a proclamation from the parish president. Just like Harry got running a little fever tonight and couldn't be here. Gordy's running a little fever. But Judge DeGate Of course, their dad played on y'all team. What a tremendous human being. Both of these gentlemen have a lot of their dad's traits, a lot of their mom's traits. She's a good woman also. But what better than a judge of a former player to unveil a proclamation? And Coach Gano, if I could get you to come up. Let's get the seniors that won that team, 1971, to come up also. And we're going to... So let's make sure we got all cameras pointed this way. And anywhere, just squeeze on in. And let me get this. I tell you what, Jacob, if you could hold the proclamation for Judge DeGate, and I'm going to hand him a mic. That's it.
Oh, shit.
Oh, yeah, we did it right.
Ready to read it? You got it?
Whereas the last state championship in boys baseball in Terrebonne Parish was won more than 50 years ago, and whereas that championship team was the 1971 Vandebilt Catholic boys baseball team, a group of outstanding young student athletes whose names are written in the record book of Vandebilt Catholic High School, and whereas no other boys baseball team at Vandebilt or Terrebonne Parish has enjoyed the distinction of winning a state championship in the ensuing 50 years, and whereas this outstanding team was led by Coach Brian Gano and featured a close-knit group of great athletes that have gone on to serve their communities well. Therefore, it is the great honor today, on the 11th day of March 2022, that Terrebonne Parish President Gordon E. Dove recognize Coach Brian Gano and the 1971 Vandebilt Catholic Boys State Championship baseball team for their singular achievement. Parish President Dove also gives special recognition and thanks to Coach Brian Gano for his competitive spirit and drive, which helped to mold these fine young men into a cohesive group that placed fear in their opponents. Let this recognition also be a challenge to all other parish teams that this last championship 50 years ago is not the wish of the class of 1971. Those members would love to see another well-deserving team hold the title of baseball state championship here in Terrebonne Parish. Therefore, Gordon E. Dove, Terrebonne Parish President, does hereby acclaim this day and night as 1971 Vandebilt Catholic State Championship Baseball Team Day.
Yes.
Good job. It's a mouthful. As much as Martin has talked about how y'all made a difference for his class, the close-knit unit that we had in this parish means a lot to all of our parish, and it goes back to generations before us. And as young people, although we're older now as well, we hope we can carry that tradition here in Terrebonne Parish. So thank you all for inviting us today.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you. And I want to say how proud that Jimmy DeGate would be that his sons have really amounted to doing some great things in Terrebonne Parish. Of course, Jason is a judge in Terrebonne Parish, and Jacob is the attorney for the levee district, and they have done a tremendous job of building levees and protecting. So it works both ways. Your dad's looking down. He's very proud of what y'all have done. So thank you so much for doing that. All right, so I know a lot of you, before I open up I got to say it, I knew if Roger Molizon would have been here. I don't know if we have enough tape in these cameras, but we certainly, at one point, we're going to open up the mics to get a few comments. But before we do this, I just thought it would be fun I want to start this because I want that baseball team, got a pretty good baseball team at Vandebilt this year. But even when we were playing, we didn't we didn't get a lot of stuff hanging up on the walls or doing different things. So we're going to unveil this, and it's just a very simple banner. And Fritz, why don't you come up and you could unveil, just be sort of careful, it's light underneath it. I know you got good hands, you're a surgeon. So what I want to do is get everybody to come up. Let's get Coach Gano first, and I want you to sign your name in that gold area, and we're going to present this after it's through to Doug Hamilton, who's going to make sure that the baseball team this year sees that hanging right in front of them, and that should be a little bit motivation for them. And y'all sign y'all names as you saw in the program, so I thought it would be fun. Jason, come sign for your dad, please. I know you probably forged your daddy's signature on a couple of tests. I do appreciate y'all time tonight. We enjoyed doing this, but I want to open up the mic a little bit. We're not going to force anybody to come up here and talk. If you want to come up and say a few words, we'd love to have you. Just to let you know, the little documentary you saw running during your dinner started at 6 o'clock to the public. So it ran on HTV and it's on social media. What we're going to do with everything we're filming tonight, we're going to edit that, and that's going to play again next week. So everybody's going to get a YouTube link. So before you leave, I'd love to get all your email because we want to send you a link, and then you send it to everybody you want to send it to, and they'll see everything that went on. So, and I think it's very important that in this social media age, that these young players see this, because just like me and David and Brian and Harry and everybody else who couldn't make it followed y'all. We didn't have social media. We didn't have cell phones. We had to go to the game, watch it, spend a little time, talk to people, and have a conversation. I do realize it's different now. Everybody has cell phones and social media. So this event is on social media. So the players at Vandebilt, the players across the parish, they will see this, and hopefully it incentivizes them a little bit just to give that little extra effort and maybe win a state championship one day. I'm going to open up the microphones. I'd love to see a few of you guys say a few words. So anybody would like to say a couple?
A couple things. Martin, I mean, obviously the video we saw tonight sort of reinforced what we all thought of Coach Gano and all the great things he did for all of us. And I get to see him a lot now that he moved back to home. I drink coffee with him about 3 days a week, and he actually does really have a good sense of humor. You have to come to Downtown Joe and listen to some of the stuff he says, but he really does. We didn't know that back then, we were kind of in awe of him, but he really does have a good sense of humor. So, anybody wants to come down any morning, I think he's there every morning, 5-6 days a week, Downtown Joe. He's drinking coffee, so you can come listen. We can make up some new stories. So anyway, but we all of us just talk about this for years, and we like to rehash old things. And I've sort of been living. The older I get, the older we get. We live in the past, and we like to talk about all the things that we have accomplished, and all of you in here have accomplished great things, but we all fall back to that one event that one season that we had, and it's such a great season, and I probably have forgotten 98% of the things that went on that year, but I do know that we had a great group of guys. It's just an attestament. Sorry, Martin. It's an attestament to all of you guys that are here tonight. And we just, I guess we had fun. Terry, I guess we had fun. I think we were kind of a little bit more serious than we are today, but it seemed like we had fun. We were winning. We were playing a sport we loved. A lot of us here, it was great to hear about Danny, how he, and we all knew Danny was a baseball guy from day one. A lot of us in here played a couple of sports, but Danny excelled at baseball, and God, Danny, I mean, you were like the rock on our team. You just, nothing went past you. Like Brian said, if it hit you, if you didn't catch it in your glove, it caught it with your chest. And it was just great to see how much you had developed. Eddie and I had played ball since we were kids together, and Craig and Fritz. I mean, we got 5 guys on this team that grew up within a block from each other. So that I think Lewis said St. Bernadette had a pretty good intramural team, right? In Broadmoor. So anyway, it was a season that I guess we look back now that none of us would ever forget. I got to look at some of the scrapbooks. Danny had a great scrapbook. Fritz has a great scrapbook, and I didn't know half the things a third of the things that I read about, but there were a couple of moments that, and it was one thing I wanted to talk about that I'm not sure Coach Gano knew this, okay? And talking to Don Same tonight, I didn't know something about Don Same. So there's 2 things I'm not sure. Maybe he did. I don't know. But anyway, so, we have a great season. We like I said, we were a AA school. I think AAA was the highest classification, and we played Terrebonne, South Terrebonne, South Lafourche, Central Lafourche, Hahnville. Now and if you guys remember, we were in the New Orleans district. We played Sam Barth, which was a real good ball club. Don Schwab was actually coaching back then at Sam Barth. We played Newman, which had a real good program, and then the rest of them were a lot of national merit scholars, but they weren't a very great. St. John Prep, Ben Franklin. I want to say maybe Burris might have been in our, but our games against Newman and Sam Barth were tough, and it seems like in all the sports we were always close. 3-2, Craig, 3-2. We go play in New Orleans where your whole Italian family would show up at the games. We play Sam Barth. They didn't have any bleachers. They just stood around, and we'd beat them. But we'd always win. We'd always beat them. And I remember from a personal standpoint is from my sophomore year, I got forearmed in the wrist. I was playing second base, trying to make a double play. I went to tag a guy, broke my wrist, so I didn't finish my sophomore year. My junior year, we were playing Edie White over at the old Stark Field, and Eddie was on second, and I was batting, and I hit a ball in the outfield, a single, and Eddie was coming around to score, and I got about maybe from here to Martin, and I fractured my hip. And I went down to the ground, crawled to first base. I didn't finish my junior year. So senior year comes along, and we're cruising along, and I think we have to play Sam Barth at our field to win the state championship. To win the district championship. And I woke up that morning with 102 fever, and but I didn't tell Coach Gano anything. I was hurting, I was feeling bad, but we had to play that game. Not quite pre-corona. How about mononucleosis? And we played the game, and I somehow was able to get a double, and I was on second base. I think the score might have been 2-2 or 1-1, and I waved Coach Gano from the dugout, from third base box, and he walked over and he said, "What's wrong?" I said, "I can't make it. I was the winning run. I can't make it." So he called on our pinch runner extraordinaire, Stevie Chauvin. The rat came in and pinch run for me, and I don't know, Fritz, did you bat behind me? I don't remember, but anyway, I went to the dugout. I was done, and I think Fritz hit a hit and Stevie scored. I think we won the game 3-2. So I went. McCullough. Okay, I'm sorry, Eddie. I should have known that. I always batted in front of you. But anyway, I go home that night and I'm really sick. So I go see Dr. Tommy Haydell, okay, the next morning, and he does a blood test, and I got mononucleosis. And now we cinched district. We're going to the playoffs, and I think we had a game maybe to South Terrebonne or Terrebonne at the end of the year. And I was okay. I could miss that game. So I go to Dr. Tommy. He does blood tests. He says, "Hey, you got mono. You're going to be out for 2 weeks." I said, "No, that's not good. 2 weeks. 1 week, okay, not 2 weeks." So we played Terrebonne. I didn't play. And then the next game we play in, our first playoff game is against Shady Grove. And I have to go see him before the game to get checked out. And I'm feeling good. I'm feeling better. So I go see Dr. Tommy. He comes in, he says, "You can't play this Saturday." I said, "What are you talking about?" I said, I'm playing. He said, "No, your spleen, David, you know all this stuff. Fritz, you know all this. Your spleen is enlarged. If you get hit, you could be in trouble." So I come home, tell my dad what he said. My dad says, "Son, you're 18 years old. You make that decision." So I said, "Well, I think you know what my decision is." So I get to school the next day. I talk to Coach Gaynor. "What did Dr. Tommy say?" I said, "Gave me the thumbs up. I'm ready to go." So we go to Shady Grove, and we play Shady Grove, and we win. Mark, you remember that field? Remember how crazy that was? The bases were out of line. We couldn't, we had to get the umpires out there to redo the bases. Yes, yeah, it was and then there was a cane field, and second and first base weren't lined up. Brian had to come out there and get the umpires to realign the bases, and yeah. Oh yeah. So anyway, you guys remember that, and so I had a decent game. I think I got a couple hits. I walked, I popped out, I struck out. So anyway, I come back, we win, and now we're going to the semifinals. So I get back now. I have to follow up a visit with Dr. Tommy, and I'm scared now because he told me I shouldn't play. I couldn't play. So he walks in. Of course, you got to remember this is 1971. My Uncle Dickie can attest to this. He walks in with a cigarette, into the examining room, and he says, "Okay, let's see. The first time up, you walked. The second time, you struck out. The third time, you got a hit. The fourth time, you knocked in a run." He said, "Son, what did I tell you about playing?" Man, Dr. Tommy, I had to play. I really did. I had to play. Do you know what would have happened to you if you'd have got hit? No, I said, well, I was trying to be careful. He says, he literally chewed me out. I'm sitting on the table, and he's chewing me out. And then finally he examines me. He says, "Okay, you can play next week." I said, "Dr. Tommy," I said, "Man, I'm sorry for doing this, but I had to play." He said, "That's okay, son. I'd have done the same thing." So that kind of made me feel a little bit better. But anyway, those were just little moments through the years that you remember.
Mic test 1 2. I'm not a big speaker, and Mike used 10 of my 15 minutes, so I could not let this night get away without thanking Martin Falls. And not just for this, Martin has been there for our family all the time. He's a very special man. I'm grateful that God put him in our lives. The second thing I'd like to be grateful for, the state championship didn't ring so special in my world, although I'm glad we won it. And I think the reason we did was because we had strength at every position on the field, and a great coach, of course. But what I'd like to really thank God about tonight is my little brother's here, and it means a lot to me that him and David Fauke and everybody who wasn't on the team that came here to share this night with us. It means a lot to me. And also to see our underclass guys who played on the team that I never see anymore other than my guys, my seniors, that we all grew up with. So it's wonderful to see Stevie and Louis Emil, who I grew up with, Terry, Barry Knockhand, just real friends of our family. I'm grateful to be here, and I thank God every day for my life and having grown up with this group of people. Thank you.
Wow. Really hard group to follow here, but I don't have a lot to say, but I didn't think it was a big deal we won state. We won everything we won. And so we won state, and we went home, and everybody threw 30 in the pool, and we had fun. But as time goes by, I realize how amazing it is, and how all these guys who were friends of mine back then and coaches and are still good friends, whether you're underclassmen, whatever. And that's the amazing thing of all this. These guys, we, like somebody said earlier, none of us were outstanding ball players, but everybody was good. And we didn't have a weak position on the field, and we just expected to win every game. And I would have been surprised if we'd have lost the game, and that's the way it worked. And so it's wonderful because life worked out for me like that, and all these guys are still good friends of mine. And it's just a great thing to see all these younger guys and older guys. It's just awesome. And wow, I'm glad we won state. I hope somebody else wins it. My son was in a state playoff game, and we had a big celebration, and they were winning, and they wound up losing, and that just tells you how hard it is to do this. And so you have to have luck, you have to have talent, and we had it all. So I can't be more grateful in that, and to see all these people sitting here and everybody I know and love. And it's just amazing how they become closer and closer as the years have gone by. So wonderful thing, hard to do. Glad we did it. Thanks.
All right. The cameras are right. The thing I'm most thankful for is all these guys here, the whole team. It means a lot to me. And I get emotional even thinking about it because we were together a long time and we did something nobody else has done in 51 years. It's amazing to me. Martin, I want to thank Martin for being here, for giving us this opportunity. Brian, Squirt, David, great guys. My little brother couldn't be here tonight because he's got the flu. Not COVID, the flu. But Mike has all the memories. I remember nothing. I enjoyed playing. We had a great time. We were a good team. We were all good to average ball players, but we played as a team, and that's the biggest thing to me. Brian was the best coach ever. We've all been close. Our senior classes especially was close all these times. But what I'm happy for is to see the undergraduates. They were great ball players, great friends, and we don't see them as often as we should. But I've enjoyed this more than a lot, and I appreciate everybody being here. I really do. Thank you.
Well, they kind of put me on the spot. I'm the only senior that hasn't spoken yet, so I figured I got to get up here. There's one thing I wanted to remind everybody, and everybody in here that played ball for Coach Gano is going to remember this. He always had the habit of whenever we having batting practice or whatever, he would get on that doggone tractor and he would drive it around, and around, and he almost dared somebody to hit him. A couple of other things I like to remember about is that famous word, situations. We practice situations every day. And it got to the point where the infielders, we would turn double plays in practice and not even realize that we're doing it, And it's really a testament to Coach Gano to drill that into us. And it's true, the comments that were made earlier, that if something didn't go right and it was your fault, you felt terrible because it was your responsibility to take care of your business. And if you didn't do it, you let the team down. All right? And it's unfortunate that sometimes that would happen, but you always bounce back. You'd get the pat on the back and say, hey, don't worry about it. You got another time coming. So I just wanted to thank Martin, just like everybody else has, but especially Coach Gano and my fellow teammates, because we had a heck of a ride, and we had great pitching. We had guys that could bring it, okay? And we were very fortunate. We had a couple of breaks, all right? But we always took advantage of those breaks. And it's just good to know that we could all do it together. And it's just a really good thing. Thanks.
I don't know if I could say anything more about Coach Gano, but I'm going to try. Just what a great person to all of us. What a great teacher. And like to me, and probably to all of us, our second father figure. I mean, that's how much he meant to me especially, and I know how much he means to these guys. A couple other things to the seniors. Y'all were awesome to us. We were the little babies on the team. Never were treated like a baby. I just talked to Vic. Vic and I, we all very, very close still. But I just told him that in there. Coach, it's a tribute to you, and it's a tribute to our school, to Vandebilt, because here we are, 71, 72, 73, 78, Martin, and we never looked down on each other. We were always friends. It didn't matter. when you were senior at Vandebilt, we had the 8th, 9th grade side, 10th, 11th, 12th grade side. When you'd cross over, it didn't matter. You were just a person at Vanderbilt. And I think it was a tribute to the school, but Coach Gaynor, you got a lot to do with that because you taught us things, I mean, in football, in baseball, I mean, you taught me so many things that I still use today in life. And that's a tribute to you. Now, all the guys in here, y'all are awesome. I mean, really, we just had so much fun together. You talked about fun, we had fun. I mean, it was fun. When it was all said and done, after we won state, we all jumped in the pool, we did all the good things. But a couple of things before that was fun, but when we first got there, I don't know too many people know this. When we first got to Opelousas, Barry Narcan, Mark Blouin, and Ronnie Estee are in a room. We weren't there 10 minutes. And they got a baby bed in the corner in our room. Somebody over here jumps in the baby bed, like I'm gonna jump in the baby bed, and shatters it. I mean, it just split like splinters. So we all said, now what are we gonna do with this bed? So we're gonna get in trouble because we 10th graders. So we go in, we pick up all the stuff, get it out the way, so we good again. So sometime during the night, don't know what happened, why, when, or where, we decide to get into a pillow fight. And the pillow busts. And we got feathers all over our room. It is just covered with feathers. Donald LeBlanc and us, we picked up every feather in that room before tomorrow morning because we knew that our butts was in trouble tomorrow morning if Coach Gaynor walked in there and saw that. But we did it, we got it, and we won. And it's just a pleasure to be around all y'all guys. That's all I gotta say.
Come on up, Coach Gaynor.
First off, the proclamation, that was wonderful. Martin, thanks for doing that. Well, Jason, as you started reading and you had all those whereas, normally I tune it out because I know I'm not going to understand anything after that. My God, but that's wonderful. These guys were, and they know that, they were a great team. It was a pleasure for me to be associated with you guys. Prior to us going to Opelousas, after you guys beat Shady Grove, I got a call from one of the sports writers in the Opelousas area. I still don't remember who it was, and it's strictly a phone call through the field house. And he wanted to ask me some questions in preparation for the semifinals and finals. And he asked a few questions, and he's trying to tell me what kind of team we have. And he made the comment, he said, you guys have made it all year on your pitching. And I told him, I said, we're a well-balanced group. We've got good pitching, we've got good hitting. And he started arguing with me on the phone. So I said, look, man, I really don't have time for this. And we'll let it go. Well, in the finals, guys, the semifinals, you guys beat Caldwell Parish 8-5. Then you beat AIC in the finals 8-3. As everybody's celebrating on the field after the game, a few people approached me and wanted some quotes and things, I guess, from different newspapers. All of a sudden, this person shows up in front of me, and I don't know what he looks like, but I recognized his voice. He was the guy that was trying to tell me we made everything strictly on pitching. And he came right up to me, he said, I'm so-and-so, and I recognized the voice. He said, I guess you guys can't hit the ball. In the final game, if you guys would realize it, we had 0 strikeouts. That was the ability you guys had to put the ball in play. I still say that. Nowadays, still high school ball. You put the ball in play, something's going to happen. I watch games today. I watch guys take 3 called strikes. Or they might swing at 1, and then they're taking a called 3rd strike because it's not quite their pitch. I think what made you guys so good is that you could hit situationally. If you had to step up in that box on that 3rd strike to be able to put it in play, you did it. I just don't see that happening nowadays. I don't know what happened, what transpired, But it's like everybody's waiting for their pitch. If they don't get their pitch, they strike out. Jamie Pizzolata, talking to him, who works for a scouting agency, he said part of the problem today is it's no big deal if you strike out. I said, boy, it was sure a big deal when I played ball and when I coached. Is you don't stand a chance if you don't put the ball in play, and you guys did that. So again, I'm just gracious. I'm grateful. I'm thankful that I had the opportunity to be associated with you guys. But I was very fortunate to be coaching when you guys were playing. So thank you.
Just in closing, I want to reiterate what an honor it was for HTV to host, and also to see a couple of my classmates of 78 come and witnesses. Gene, thank you for coming too. And I wasn't lying. We idolized y'all. And just once again to see the camaraderie y'all still have, that's pretty special. And I want to thank y'all for what you did. Mr. Dickey, thank you for coming too. We appreciate you coming. 3 state championships, that's right. So, but thank y'all, and we're gonna go through the film. We're gonna be strategic with the film, and we'll make everyone look good. And Eddie, I didn't realize you were such a bad algebra student. Coach Gano, what kind of grade did he make? All right, going once, going twice. Anybody else want to say anything? Thank y'all. Thank y'all for coming. Enjoyed seeing all of y'all. Thank you. What a great day today. A little cool here at the Vandebilt game, but of course last night we honored the 1971 state championship baseball team at HTV. They're the last team in 51 years to win a state championship. And in a short time, they're going to be honored here at Vandebilt Catholic. In between a doubleheader, they'll be called out and get their name in lights again, even though it's very bright. Don't need lights today. So in a few minutes, the 71 state championship baseball team. 51 years later, these gentlemen are being honored today at Vandebilt Catholic High School. Coach Brian Gano was the coach and the architect of that 1971 state championship baseball team, and at the age of 25, won that championship game with help of a lot of seniors, 2 of them here today. And Coach Gano, how does it feel to come back and be on the same field that you roamed for many years? It's got to bring back memories.
And it brings back great memories. It's wonderful to be out here. It's wonderful to be back with these guys. It was such an outstanding team. Yeah. It's just great to do it, and I appreciate what you've done to put this together.
And let me move to Mike here, because I see all the players out here, and like Coach Gano used to do, you go take care of your mound, you go take care of your bases, you make sure the field looks good. It's got to be a classy field, and I know this brings back tremendous memories for you.
It really does, and the only odd thing is that we used to always sit on the third base side. Apparently Vanderbilt switched over to the first base side a few years ago. But you know, Martin, the senior year that we in 71, when we won the state championship, we didn't have to take care of the field. We let all the sophomores take care of that. So yeah, to watch these guys do it, I'm sure they all pitch in, and we all did. We had a great team, great teamwork, good camaraderie. Just weekend, we had pretty much 85% of the guys show up for this little event, and it was really fun to rehash all the memories we had together.
Yeah, let me move over here and talk to Danny, because the whole while Danny was watching the first game, you kept staring at third base. Did it look familiar to you?
I tell you what, like Mike mentioned, it does bring back a lot of memories. The field looks like it's in really great shape, but it's true. We were used to grooming our positions and doing what we had to do to take care of business, But it's just really a good feeling to be able to come back and and after all these years and see all the old guys, and of course we're all old.
Well, let me move back here. I want to ask Coach Gano, as you're watching the game, just tell me generally inside the emotions 51 years later. Of course, you coached after that, but the emotions that come in when you're back at a field and you're back at familiar surroundings, what does it do internally to a coach?
Internally, Martin, I feel like I need to be on the field. It's tough watching it from the other side of the screens, but it's just great to do it. When I'd come to football games here, I'd always walk over just to take a look at the baseball field too. So it brings back great memories. It's just wonderful to be back and being a part of it.
Yeah. Don Same a while ago was saying, Martin, it just looks a lot different than when we played. I said, yeah, Don, they have bleachers now.
Well, we had bleachers in there. I'll tell you what we did, and I was telling the principal, Jenny, what we had back then was simply a cyclone fence out in the outfield. Doug was saying, he said it looked like there was no fence when he looked at some of the pictures. I said, no, it's a cyclone fence, but the students could back up their trucks and watch the game from the trucks and razz the other team. So I think we're kind of missing that little aspect of it.
And we used to be able to see the old folks home where Barry Nake almost took out a window, right?
Yeah, you know, back then there was the Tunnel Boulevard wasn't even paved yet. And Barry, being a big left-handed sophomore, he hit a few out of that right field. I was fortunate enough to hit one home run in my whole career, and it skirted right along the foul line. So that was the only way I could hit one out there, and probably had a nice wind like we have today to help. But no, it was odd. There was nothing around this school. If you look at the old pictures, we were sort of sitting out here in the middle of nowhere. So it's obviously a totally different atmosphere today, and the field looks great, and you know, it's been a lot of hard work by a lot of people, but we sort of feel like we started it because we were the first Vandebilt class to come here. So, you know, it's not only is it fun to come back and see the ballpark and the people, the players, but just to see the entire campus itself. I know it's taken a pretty big hit with Hurricane Ida, but it really is nice to come back and see what's been done.
And I got to tease Danny, because Danny's probably the only player from that team that has his own line of clothing, but they forgot to put the Lero at the end.
That's terrible.
All right, there you have it. Some of the 1971 baseball championship team. And if you just pan around there, if you can, Dwayne, go all the way around behind the fence, they have the others that are going to be introduced. They're chit-chatting with some of the people back there. Some of the daughters and granddaughters are waving to the camera. It's granddaughters. That's how old this team is. 51 years ago. 3, 2, 1.
Hi, everybody. And now we're going to introduce the 1971 baseball team.
This afternoon, we are privileged and excited to celebrate the 1971 Vandebilt Catholic High School Baseball State Championship team. Last night, 1978, Vandebilt Catholic graduate Martin False and HTV hosted a banquet to honor the members of the last Vandebilt Catholic baseball team to win a state championship. VCH Alumni Director Doug Hamilton and the VCH Alumni Association are proud to host the team at this afternoon's game. Taking the field today are members of that team. The 1971 Terriers were coached by Coach Brian Gano. Several members of that team are here today, but we would like to name all members, including Philip Lottinger, Terry Farrell, Mike Fake, Eddie McCullough, Craig Molizon, Barry Nake, Don Somm, Danny Caballero, Danny Limett, Jimmy DeGate, represented by his son, Judge Jason DeGate, Roger Molizon, Fritz Rao, Ronnie Eshtay, Louis Email, David Van Alstine, Stevie Chauvin, Mark Blouin, Mark Blanchard, and Terry Bro. Let's give a big round of applause for the 1971 baseball state champions. Terrebonne Parish President Gordon Dove, by proclamation, declared yesterday as 1971 Vandebilt Catholic High School Baseball State Champions Day. Presenting this proclamation to Coach Brian Gano is VCH Principal, Ms. Jenny Hamilton.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Whereas the last state championship in boys baseball in Terrebonne Parish was won more than 50 years ago, and whereas that championship team was the 1971 Vandebilt Catholic boys baseball team, a group of outstanding young student athletes whose names are written in the record book of Vandebilt Catholic High School. And whereas no other boys baseball team at Vandebilt or Terrebonne Parish has enjoyed the distinction of winning a state championship in the ensuing 50 years. And whereas this outstanding team was led by Coach Brian Gano and featured a close-knit group of great athletes that have gone on to serve their communities well. Therefore, it is my great honor today, on this 11th day of March 2022, that I, Terrebonne Parish President Gordon E. Dove, recognize Coach Brian Gano and the 1971 Vandebilt Catholic Boys State Championship baseball team for their singular achievement. I also give special recognition and thanks to Coach Brian Gano for his competitive spirit and drive, which helped to mold these fine young men into a cohesive group that placed fear in their opponents. Let this recognition also be a challenge to all other parish teams that this last championship 50 years ago is not the wish of the class of 1971. Those members would love to see another well-deserving team hold the title of baseball state champ in Terrebonne Parish. Therefore, I, Gordon E. Dove, Terrebonne Parish President, do hereby acclaim this day and night as 1971 Vandebilt Catholic State Championship Baseball Team Day in honor of this great team and assembled tonight at HTV.
All right.
Congratulations, Coach.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
How you feel, Coach?
Thank you. This is great. All because of these guys right behind me. They did it.
Oh God, you gave us bodies as well as minds and hearts with which to praise you. The game of baseball is a fitting use of the gifts and talents you have given us. Bless our game today and those with whom we compete. Give us strength, endurance, courage, and agility as we compete. Keep us safe as we celebrate our physical and mental skill through the game of baseball. We ask you this through Christ our Lord. Amen.
Hi, I'm little Jimmy the Gate. Let's go Terriers.
Please direct your attention to the mound, where Vandebilt Catholic head coach Chad Menard will give the ball to head coach 1971 state championship team Brian Gano, and he will have his granddaughter Lauren Andre, current VCH junior high girls soccer coach, throw out the first pitch.
So hey, I gotta share something with you, okay?
Yes.
So I got to thinking about it. I was telling the kids, if 50 years from now, that's gonna be you guys out there doing that. I said, then I got to thinking, I'd be 95 years old. That'd be crazy. Hey.
Good luck, Coach.
I know. Okay.
Are you excited about throwing out the first pitch?
Yes, sir.
Is it going to be a curve or a fastball?
I'm just hoping it makes it.
All right, Lauren, here we go. Heads up.
All right.
Lauren.
Do us proud, Lauren. Let Brian throw from up there. Do it proud, Lauren.
Yeah, hold on 1 second. Let my camera guy get ready.
Whenever you're ready, Lauren.
Go ahead.
Yeah!
Well done, Lauren.
Strike!
All right, let's hear it for Lauren.
Good job.
Thank you.
Thank you, Eli.
Good work, man.
Thank you. Coach Brian Gano, it's probably been a while, maybe never, were you able to address your team in a locker room. So I'd be tickled pink if you could say a few words to your team and to Vandebilt.
You need help standing on the chair?
No, that's all right.
What, are you going to edit it?
I addressed them quite often in the dugout, but we'll make this a little nicer. It's great being back with these guys to think all these years. And the great thing about it is that so many of them have stayed in touch with each other. And to have them back and realize what these guys accomplished so many years ago. And I'm actually pulling that somebody's going to break this record. But I tell you what, I don't think anybody's going to be able to hold on to a record for 50 years from here on out. So what you guys accomplished is just outstanding, and it's great to be back in your midst again. So thanks for being here.
Thank you, Coach. All right.